there folks, welcome ye all to yet another vlog of mine. It's a very special vlog this week, people. Yes, it is. We have reached the massive milestone of 7,000 subscribers, people. And I want to start this whole video off with a massive thank you to everybody who has followed the channel, to everybody, well, to all those who have followed right from the very beginning, to all those that have just started following and everything in between. Just a huge thank you to all of you for coming into my little world and enjoying what I'm doing and commenting and chatting to me, and just it means the world to me to reach these sort of milestones. And I think it's important that we have a little chat about it, people, when they do happen. And I know I'm kicking off by saying it's a massive milestone. It's a massive milestone in my little world, people. You know, I realise that in the grand scheme of massive YouTubers, it's not massive, but in my little world, that is a huge milestone, people. And I have to give out a really almost an extra thank you to all of you, because it hasn't been the channel with the most content over the last year or so, and it has been a little bit sporadic as to what I've been doing. I haven't really, I think I have done 2 full Let's Plays over the last year or so, but most of the Let's Plays I've been doing have been just pieces of games. And I don't see most of the games through all the way, but the ones that I'd really hook into, and we do see all the way through. So I realise that for some people, there's a lot of patience involved for the fact that I don't see every game through to its end. I never intended for the channel to be a Let's Play channel when I started it. It was more to be about doing this sort of thing and doing vlogs and podcasts and that sort of thing, and just showing off games a little bit. So if you look really early on in the channel, I think with the exception of Arcania, it's really just sort of part 1s and 2s that I did just to show games off. I never had any intention of doing full Let's Plays, but as time's gone on, you guys have enjoyed me doing that. And so I do try, if a game hooks me and you guys are enjoying it, I do try and see it through to the end. Obviously, recent times have made that not possible, with things like Baldur's Gate and all that sort of thing. But I do appreciate the fact that for not doing a huge amount of content, and especially over the last couple of months because of my injury, and anyone following the channel knows that I've got a hand injury, people, which is still causing me massive problems. I still can't make a fist. I have now been able to start gaming, but not on cameras yet, because it still gets really uncomfortable sort of as I'm playing, and I have to take breaks and all sorts of stuff. So it's just I'm not in a place yet where I can do Let's Play stuff, but we can do this. Anyway, I digress, people. I just wanted to say a huge thank you to everybody. And I realize I tend to sometimes wait for these thank yous, because I'll reach 7,000 and then I'll post something up and then all people kind of, when you post stuff up, sometimes you get the reaction of more subs, and sometimes you get an immediate dip of people unfollowing, and then you get another rise again for people following. So it kind of, I'll probably do this and I'll post it up and we'll drop down to 6,998 or something. But we've reached, as of today, 7,001. And considering that I've not been putting up the amount of content that I normally would, I'm just really proud, and I'm really chuffed that I've got all of you guys following me and loving what I'm doing. And I'm so happy, people. I really am. And I just wanted to give out a massive thank you, and just say thank you to each and every single person, as I say, from the very beginning, that has just started following, and everybody in between. Thank you so much, and I really appreciate it. And I love it when you guys talk to me. I don't always get back to you immediately, but I do always reply, people. I always reply to comments. I love chatting to you guys. It's why I set this channel up. I set this channel up so that I could communicate with other gamers just like me and be able to chat to you and share my experiences with you. And that's what this channel was always about. And so always leave me comments. Always, there's a Discord channel if you've not got involved with that yet. There's not a huge amount of us on there. I think there's about 7 or 8 maybe of us on the Discord channel. So if you want to come along and be able to chat almost instantaneously, then you can do it that way. But I love seeing the comments under videos and all that sort of thing. So anyway, massive thank you to all of you for that huge milestone in my world of 7,000 subscribers. And that, I mean, bear in mind that for most YouTubers that don't sort of hit an immediate high, and it is, most people, even PewDiePie started with, I think he was doing sort of Call of Duty type stuff and all that sort of thing. And he was very slow at getting his followers going. And then all of a sudden he did his horror stuff and it just went through the roof. But he had worked hard at his YouTube channel before he got any kind of success. And most YouTubers are in the same position. Most YouTubers that actually find success to any sort of degree have put a lot of work in. A lot of work in. And yeah, there's exceptions to the rule where people are, you know, just the extra bit pretty, or just the extra bit interesting, or a combination of the two, or just have that something, that factor, people. And you know, it does happen from time to time, but in general terms, even those people will have put work and effort in to their channel. But most people, the people that I kind of always see YouTube like they've got the big guns, of course you have. But for me, the interesting things on YouTube are always people that aren't super huge, but they're doing stuff that interest me and make me click on their videos, or they're doing things that are of use to me when I go searching for advice on something, or I want to compare the iWatch against the SE against this 8 or 9, like I did recently when I bought my new iWatch, people. The new headphones, I was doing comparisons on those, all those sort of things. So it tends to be all of those sort of people, without any shadow of a doubt, they'll have been doing a huge amount of work for many years on the YouTube channel, and then every now and then you see one skyrocket into a new sort of stratosphere. There are people that kind of do it really, really quickly, but as I say, they generally, I mean, the people I always see sort of skyrocket are people that are just like people that are super good at instruments, for example. Or I don't, I mean, you guys can probably know better than me, but I don't really, even though I do gaming YouTube channel, I don't watch a lot of gaming YouTube channel. I mean, I don't have time really anyway to be watching other people's channels, but you guys will know better than me. I'm not sure if there's anyone in the gaming world that just skyrocketed straight out of the blue. You know, it might have happened on Twitch or something, but anyway, I digress a lot, people, and I realise people are here for the thumbnail headline, which is probably Dragon's Dogma or Last of Us Part 2. But I wanted to kick this whole video off with just a huge, huge thank you. And I've loved every single minute of doing my channel. And when I've found points where I'm not enjoying it as much, or it started to feel like work, I've backed off. And even though I've backed off a little bit and I've not put a huge amount of content up, you guys have always stuck with me. You've always stayed there. You've always been there when I've come back. And it's that sort of stuff that really warms my heart, people. And I thank you so much. I love you all so much for it. Super, super massive thank you. And here's to 8,000 people if we ever reach the dizzy heights of such a thing, people. But I never in a million years thought I would reach anything like 7,000. So I'm so, so delighted. Absolutely fantastic. I mean, I try to maybe sort of think of maybe highlights and stuff of things that I've really enjoyed doing and sharing with you guys on the channel. But I think when it really comes down to it, the most fun I have is when I do these sort of vlogs and then I get reactions back from you guys about the news that's going on or the things that I've talked about. And also when I put up footage of a game or a let's play and you guys hook onto it straight away and you stick with it all the way to the end, and I'm loving it as much as you are, and we do see it like Grim Dawn and I'm trying to think the ones that I did recently. I did Grim Dawn. I did Diablo 3. Haven't finished Diablo 4. But there was games that I did see all the way through to the end. And those games, it's always because I've had a huge response from you guys wanting to see more and more and more. So I've seen them all the way to the end. But I've been loving them as well. And those are the moments and the highlights for me from the channel. It's always about when I love it as much as you guys love it. And that sort of... it's just kind of that perfect storm of happiness, really. And that's when the channel's at its brightest for me, and I'm loving it. And I love the process of, like, when I record stuff like this, and I'm having, flaggings up to you all, people, and 7,000 subs, and I've not done my flaggings up to you. Flaggings up, it's flaggings up Saturday, by the way. But yeah, when I record this, and then and do it properly, like a proper one like we're doing now. I'm going to explain why I've got the microphone in podcast style today, but we'll come back to that. But when I record stuff like this, and then I kind of have my little flaggings, and I'm editing it all together, and I'm trying to put... part of the fun of putting it together is smelting the little video clips in and all that sort of thing. And I love doing that. Like, I get a relaxing buzz, I think I'll say. A sort of a relaxing buzz. It's really, really cool. I'll have my little beers, smelting it all together, and then when I'm letting it render, I'll post up letting you guys know in the community that there's a vlog come in. put a little poll up maybe, and then when the video goes up, then I get the feedback and the comments from you guys, which I love. So these are all the little things that make me want to continue to do the channel. And we're talking, I think I was trying to remember, and I always do this, I can never quite remember just how long. I think if you were to look at when my channel was created, it was maybe 12 to 14 years ago or something like that. But I always remember, I mean, I'm 52 now, people, I'm an old bugger. But I think it was around my 40th birthday, and because I got the PS3 on my 40th birthday, I got a PS3 Slim, and that's when there was a slight shift to sort of from 360 to PS3, because there was a whole bunch of stuff I'd never played on PlayStation. So, and I'm pretty sure it was maybe toward the tail end of the PS3 and the PS4 coming out, because I got the PS3 quite late in the day, obviously. I think there was maybe a year or two with the PS3 before the PS4 came out, something like that. And I posted up Arcania, and I'm pretty sure it was Arcania on the PS4 that I posted up. And that's when things started going sort of through the roof a bit. But it was all a little bit like the very first videos I put up didn't have any chat on them, I don't think, if I remember rightly. Certainly the first few Arcanias were PS4 shares, and I didn't do any chatting at all, and it's still one of my most watched videos of all time. Not talking and just running through the wilderness, because nobody else showed any interest in Arcania being remastered for PS4. And it was always been one of my little clumsy gems, as I call it. I've always adored that game, and because no one else had posted it up, people were searching for it to see what it was all about, or to see how it looked, and it just got huge amounts of views. And then I posted up more and more and more, and that's where it all kind of began, really, for me getting regular at it. I didn't even have proper equipment at that point, so far as all I could do was PS4 share. As I decided to, I think I'd tried recording myself on camera at one point with a camcorder, and then tried to smelt that together with PS4 shares. It was all really clumsily kind of tried out at the beginning, people. I didn't have any of this cool stuff that I've got now. And then just as I tried different things, I kind of invested in equipment and, you know, nicer microphones and headphones and better camcorder and all that sort of stuff. But then I kind of made the conscious decision that I wasn't going to put myself on camera. And I felt like it was a nicer experience in my channel for people just to see the game and hear my voice. I feel like I've got a beautiful face for radio, people. You know, if I was 20 years old, I'd be like everybody else that does this sort of stuff, and I would have my face up there. I mean, I was a pretty boy when I was younger, people. So if I was young and pretty, I'd probably be putting my face all over my videos. But as we are where we are, people, I think people enjoy my channel for that, though. I've had loads of comments where people have said, I love the simplicity of this channel. I love the fact that it's just a chatting over the videos and stuff. Likewise, I've had people say, even like, why do people have to talk over videos? Why can't they just play them? You know, so there are people out there who just want to see the gameplay without even talking on it. But my channel I have in me personality that I feel like sharing, and that's why I love doing what I do. So I would never post up now without chatting about the game while I'm playing it. But anyway, it's been a huge journey without any shadow of a doubt, and a journey that I've thoroughly enjoyed for the most part. And as I say, if I've ever found it too much like work, I've always stepped back, and you guys have always stood by me and said, well, he'll be back when he's ready, it's cool. So that's the bit that warms my heart the most and has kept the channel going. There's been a few times that I've nearly thought maybe it's just time to not do it no more. But always in those times, you guys have reached out and said, no, don't go anywhere. You know, we really love the stuff you do, and we keep wanting you to come back. And I love the variety of stuff you guys like watching me do as well. Like, I think we could probably divvy it up to maybe 60% that would take the gameplay over the vlogs, and then 40% that would take the vlogs over the gameplay, that sort of thing. So it's interesting to see the diversity of people on the channel and what they like to see. And as things grew, I did try doing action and horror and all that sort of stuff. And every now and then, you know, that I'll do a playthrough of Dead Space or whatever for a bit of, just for because I love it. And I thought, well, I might as well film it while we're on with it. But in the main part, my channel became, probably because of Arcania, the following that it got was RPG people. And that's where we are, people. We are an RPG channel. It doesn't say it on the label, but that's what we are. And I know that. And I know that what you guys want to see me doing is RPG stuff. And there are people on the channel that will watch me play anything and have said so. But I know from when I put up things that aren't RPG, you'll watch the sub figures will. If I don't do it in conjunction with something else, you'll see the subscribers start falling, because the people that come and have found my channel have found it through RPG World. And I love RPGs, so I'm happy to play them, you know. So there we are. Anyway, I'm not going to go on much longer about the channel stuffs, because I know there's people here that are going to want to talk about the gaming news that I've got in the thumbnail and everything else. But it is important that I take the time out, people, to say thank you for all of this, because without you guys, the channel isn't anything, because I'd just be talking to myself. And I never forget that. I always know that this channel is as much about you as it is about me. Because there is no point in me doing anything if you guys aren't interested or don't want to see it and don't stay with me. So finally, and once again, and also, well, not finally, because I'll say it from now and on and into the future, thank you so much. I can't tell you enough how much it means to me. And here's on to the next one, people. Here's on to the next one. I might add this as well. I've never removed any videos from my channel that I can think of. So if you ever want to see just how raw my channel was when it started, you should be able to sort my videos by date descending, right? And you'll be able to see the very first ever videos that I put up. My first vlogs are cringeworthy, people. I was so uncomfortable in front of the camera. I think that video is still there. The very first vlog I ever did, I was so conscious in front of the camera. But I thought, I've always left them there because I think it's good for people to see how somebody grows. And if anything, it hopefully shows other people that aren't immediately comfortable in front of cameras and on microphones and all that sort of thing, that you can do it. It just takes practice. It just takes doing it again and again and again. And if you do that, you'll get comfortable and you'll feel comfortable, and things will get better and more people will watch you and all that sort of good stuff. So I've always felt like it's important to leave those videos there, and I have them. If you look at all the big YouTubers, I suspect most of them, I know PewDiePie made videos showing some of his older stuff because he'd removed them years back because he found them cringeworthy and stuff. I remember seeing a video ages ago where he did that. But for me, I think I'm happy to leave them there. I think it's nice. I think it's nice to see someone's growth. So there you are, people. There you are. I'm going to say it again. Thank you. Thank you, each and every one of you. Right, very quickly, before we get on to the news, the reason that I've gone to podcast style. Now, anyone following the channel knows that I used to, in another room upstairs, do this sort of podcast thing where I have the microphone closer to me, the sound of my voice is richer because the sensitivity's down and it's closer to me. But when I record down here, we usually have the mic hidden and it's on high sensitivity, and I can just chat freely without having the microphone in front of me. However... if anyone watched the last vlog, you'll know that I went out and bought myself noise cancelling headphones, and I've done. I'm working around my neighbours having bought a puppy, people, and I think it's about 3 months old now. It's about 2 months old when they got it. So, I've gone through about. I think it's got to be about a month and a half now of non-stop barking from the dog. Like, it's not, when they're in, you never hear it, but the minute they leave the house, it is relentless, people. I mean, it is just relentless. It's actually, I'm saying that as I've just said it, it's quieting down. And I wanted to make this vlog tonight, and I've been wondering how the fucking hell I'm going to make vlogs, because I don't want you guys having to listen to videos of me chatting or let's plays and all you can hear is a dog barking in the background, because there is nothing worse. And it is relentless when it gets going. It's just unbelievable. So at the moment, I haven't spoken to them about it, because what I'm trying to, I understand what it's like to have a puppy and try and break it in, and it might be separation anxiety and all that sort of stuff, or it's just getting used to being by itself. And I have found there's been times just over the last number of weeks now where it does go really quiet for spells and then starts going relentless again. So it does feel like it's finding its way a little bit. So I'm not gonna be I wouldn't noise them up anyway. I wouldn't go over there. I wouldn't go next door angrily, you know, because they're probably unaware that it's doing it anyway, because when they're out, they're not going to know, are they? So, but I will, I mean, if it's not going to get any better within the next month or so, I'd probably go and chat to them and say, I don't know if you're aware, but your dog's not coping when you're not here, sort of thing. So I don't know, you're going to have to try and sort something out. So anyway, I've been dead patient, but the point being, I've needed to go into this sort of zone with the microphone so that the sensitivity is hopefully low enough that I'm coming through nice and rich, but you won't hear the dog when it barks. So we've got we've got a door to the kitchen behind here, which leads to their wall for next door. I've got a door next to me here that leads to the hall to go out the front of the house. That's also next. So those are closed. I can still hear it when it starts going off. So there's two issues. One is I want to make sure you guys can't hear it, which is why I've gone into this podcast style mode, and it's not just me with the camera where you don't see the microphone. And the other is I need to try and keep my concentration while I'm so comfortable in front of camera. I could chat for ages, as you guys know, without splicing stuff and editing stuff and all that sort of malarkey. But it's difficult when you've got something that's niggling at you at the side of you, like a So I wasn't sure how it was going to go today. Funnily enough, the dog's gone a bit quiet. Maybe my dulcet tones have quietened it down. But there you are. But that's why we've gone into this mode. That said, I think there's probably people that don't watch me, and I know for a fact there's people that listen to my vlogs and podcasts when they go out walking and stuff. So if that's the case, then you'll get a richer sound from my voice anyway, because it's nicer. The sound of the vocals are nicer when the sensitivity's low and the mic's close to my mouth than it is when it's at high sensitivity and further away. So there'll be benefits for people that are listening to it on headphones or out walking. So there you are. Anyway, it doesn't make much of a muchness. You can still see me. I'm still here, people. You can't see my t-shirt quite as much, but there we are. Anyway, I've prattled on long enough, people. Should we read some news? Flagons up to you all once again. I will, of course, have tried to put timestamps below, apart from when it's on the preview, whatever it's called, Premiere. When it's on Premiere, it's a live stream of the video, so you don't get the timestamps. But once that's finished, I'll be able to put the timestamps in tomorrow or whatever, and those people catching up later. If you're not interested in all my spraffle at the beginning, you can go straight to the bit you wanted to get to in the first place. So, shall we, without further ado, have a sip of this beer, people? Flagons up once again. You know I'd share it with you people if I could. Now there is some very good pieces of news. Now I'm going to put my glasses on because what I've done is I've got the two stories that I want to talk about that are probably in the thumbnail, or at least one of them will be. Dragon's Dogma will definitely be in there. But then I've got a huge amount of links that were from when I was going to do vlogs ages back, but I had my accident and didn't do stuff on the channel for ages and what have you. So we've only been back a week. I did a vlog on Monday doing my unboxing of my iWatch and my Sony headphones, noise cancelling because of the dog. They're bloody beautiful, those headphones though, and this watch I love it. Do you know the only thing about this watch that is just bugging the absolute tits off me, people, and I'm going to use a swear word. It's bugging the tits off me, people. Is tits a swear word? They're birds as well. You know what I mean? But it's bugging the tits off me, people, is that there's an auto dim on the watch, right? So what happens is, if you're in a bright room, it brightens the screen so that it's nice and fresh in your eyes, right? And if you're in a dark room, it dulls it down, which is a nice feature. But if you're someone like me who struggles with the reading eyesight, I don't have to wear glasses apart from reading. Excuse me, people. When it dulls down in a dark room, you can't read it. It goes to a point where you can't read any of the letters and word whatever on the screen. So it's almost unusable if you're in a dark room. And so let's say you're lying in bed and you want to look at it, or I tend to sit in my living room if I'm watching TV and stuff. I have the light really low because I like seeing like being at the pictures, isn't it? A big TV on and stuff. So I never have bright lights on at night. So, and looking at my watch, I just can't see anything unless I put some glasses on, which I never have next to me anyway for most of the time. And you can't turn that feature off. Like, you can't turn off auto dim on the iWatch. You can do it on an iPhone. You can do it on any other device, iPad, I think. But you can't do it on the iWatch, and it's like, why the fuck not? Like, as far as I'm concerned, poor eyesight is a disability, and you're basically going against disabled people because you won't give us the ability to turn that off so we can actually use the product in the dark. So, and I know for a fact they're aware of it because there's so many people, because I was looking for articles on how to turn it off, and there was so many people saying this is outrageous. Like, you can't just ignore people that have poor eyesight and not be able to use their iWatches, but they won't do anything about it. I mean, I was reading articles from 2021. You know, I've only just bought this in 2020, tail end of 2023. And if they're not giving us the option since 2021, well, it's got to be the simplest of things to do. And I found an article that said from ages ago, I think it was 2020, that said you could do it, but you can't. So I don't know whether it used to be there in a really, really old version of the iWatch, but it's just not there anymore, or whether that article was completely wrong. But you can't toggle off the auto dim feature on the iWatch at the moment. And you haven't been able to since about 2021, according to the articles I've been reading. Anyway, other than that, I love it, people. Absolutely love it. I love the diversity of it. I love the way you can really personalise it to your own thing. I fell in love, people, with that and my headphones. Right, I keep saying we're going to get to the news, people, and we haven't got there yet. Shall we, people? Shall we get to some news? And we're going to kick off with the big one that was that was no doubt on the thumbnail, because I've already decided in my head what my thumbnail is going to be, people. It is. There's actually two articles on Dragon's Dogma. Dragon's Dogma 2 release date reportedly revealed by Ratings Board. So let's go into that article first. So I've got the links, people, so I'm going to read through the articles, and much like we have done in the past, people. And props to IGN, where all of these articles have come from, or most of them anyway. Hot on the heels of Capcom's announcement of a Dragon's Dogma 2 showcase stream. That was the other bit, actually. I wasn't sure which one had come first, actually, but now we know. We'll read that in a minute. Set for November 28th, we have what looks like a leak from game's release date. European Video Game Ratings Board, Peggy 18. I want that job. The person that says that, yeah. Peggy. I haven't got a deep enough voice. Peggy 18. Wouldn't be quite the same, would it? Peggy listed Dragon's Dogma 2 with a release date of March 22nd, 2024. A nice spring release, people. We love an RPG in spring. Well, I do. Well, I love it any time of the year, to be fair. Across PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and S, and PC. Dragon's Dogma 2 is a Peggy rated and has March 22nd, 2024. I think that's... I don't know why it's saying it again there, but anyway. Date listed... That release date makes sense in context of Capcom's current financial year, which ends March 31st, 2024. The company may want to see the hotly anticipated RPG make a meaningful contribution to its bottom line in time for the close of the reporting period. It seems likely we'll find out the Dragon's Dogma 2 release date officially during the showcase, which takes place Pacific Mean Time. We'll read about that in a minute. Set forth on your grand adventure arisen. Get the latest info on this action RPG designed to place player choice at the heart of the gameplay experience, reads the post. Join director. Oh, this is for the event that's coming up, yeah. I think actually that might be in the other article. Let's jump straight to the other article now, which is about this event that is happening. Dragon's Dogma 2 showcase set for late November 2023. And yeah, Capcom has announced a Dragon Dogma 2 showcase for November 28th, 2023, which is set to include big reveals and new gameplay. The event will take place 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. UK, and is set to last roughly 15 minutes. Capcom didn't reveal where exactly fans can watch the showcase, but it will likely be streamed on its YouTube channel if it's not the official Dragon's Dogma one. Set forth on your grand adventure arisen, get the latest, and I'm reading this again, but we'll read it anyway. Get the latest info on this action RPG designed to place player choice at the heart of the gameplay experience, reads the post. Join director Hideki Itsuno and producer Yoshiaki Hirabayashi, I think I did all right there, as they present all the latest info and gameplay in this approximately 15-minute showcase. Dragon's Dogma 2 still lacks a release date, so fans will likely be hoping the showcase reveals when they can get their hands on the fantasy role-playing game sequel. Although, did we not just establish it was in March? Bit of a crossover of two articles, really. The first Dragon's Dogma launched way back in 2012, leaving fans on the franchise parched for a sequel. Capcom hasn't said too much about Dragon's Dogma 2, otherwise... hang on, sorry. Shall we try that sentence again, people? Capcom hasn't said too much about Dragon's Dogma 2 otherwise, though it did reveal its map is 4 times the size of the original. In our preview of the game, IGN said Dragon's Dogma 2 will... I think IGN gave it a 7, if I remember, a 7 out of 10. Which was, I think, was a bit harsh. I feel like the game, without any shadow of a doubt, got a massive cult following, and it was super popular with actual players. But I don't think reviewers quite got it at first. And then it got a massive sort of update. It was Dark Arisen, wasn't it? Was the patch for it, or the update for it that came later. There was another version of it. But it clearly sold enough to get a second one. We couldn't help but wish we walked away a little bit more excited about something new in the sequel, though. Yeah, okay. I think, if anything, probably the story was kind of lacking. Like, I don't remember anything about the story, but I do remember a massive dragon, and I do remember the really cool pawn system, and that's POWN, people. The pawn system where you can create a character that fights beside you, but then can get used by other players playing by themselves elsewhere. So they can pluck... You go to this place and you can kind of pick somebody else's ones to fight alongside you that they've created with their different specs and everything. I loved that system. I thought it was really great. And I believe that is coming back into it, because they've said that there's definitely no co-op in it, and I think that's why, because they want the pawn system to be there again. But yeah, so I'm super, super excited about Dragon's Dogma 2. And by the way, it's also a game that I did finish playing, a Let's Play of on the channel on the PS4, I think. Because it came out on the original, came out on the X360 and the PS3, got remastered for the PS4, and I'm pretty sure it was the PS4 where I did a full playthrough of it. And I was tempted to do another run through on the PS5 if they'd patched it for 60 FPS, but they hadn't done. So there's been no patch that I'm aware of. And I was kind of hoping when they did announce this and do things with it, that they might have stoked the flames of excitement by saying, hey, here we've patched the PS4 version of the original for the PS5, and it can now play at 60 FPS on the PS5 for those people that want to get the first one played and get excited about the second one. But that's not happened yet. It might still happen, but it's not happened yet. So I'm kind of hoping that's gonna happen. I would be honoured, people. It would be an honour and a privilege to play it once again, at least some of it at 60 FPS to show it off on the channel. I would love that. That said, there's most likely a PC version of that game, I think, where you can probably play it at 60 FPS, but I'd love to see it on the PS5 or the Series X playing at 60 FPS. So yeah, I can't wait. That is superb. And we've already had a year that's been full of really cracking games, and that is going to be so. There's always it's interesting, the sort of games that kind of sneak their way into February, and if I remember rightly, I think Dead Space was one for sneaking its way into February back in the day. And then February and March, it's like this little placeholder of like people that want to avoid all the big shit that's happening. They go, well, do you know what? Let's do it in spring when fuck all else is happening. Let's put it there. So you always get little crackers popping up in February and March, which I think is fantastic, because you get over that holiday period and all that craziness, and you get past COD and all that stuff. And then you get this little spring with little gems popping up in it in springtime. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with that. Moving on, people, moving on. The Last of Us Part 2 remastered, people, remastered. Yes, you heard me right. The Last of Us Part 2 is remastered for the PlayStation 5. Even though it's already got a 60 FPS mode on it. So they've clearly done even more work to make it even more eye-dazzling, people. However, I'll give them props, because they have done a lot more than just pretty it up. So let's crack into this little article. Hopefully it'll tell us in the article what we need to know. Again, IGN. Shortly after a leak confirmed its existence, Naughty Dog officially revealed The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered for the PlayStation 5 on Friday evening, confirming the release date as well in January the 19th, people. Good grief. So right after the holidays, we can get our hands on it. The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered comes to PS5 on January 19th, featuring No Return, a roguelike mode, lost levels with dev commentary, guitar free play, graphical enhancements, DualSense integration, and more, where we can learn more. Oh, actually, there's a Twitter link. Actually, I've not got Twitter now. Will it still show me? Re-experience or discover for the first time Ellie and Abby's emotional journey with the definitive way to play The Last of Us Part 2. This is the Naughty Dog statement. The team here at Naughty Dog is excited to announce The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered, the definitive way to experience the acclaimed The Last of Us sequel originally released in 2020. We're thrilled to confirm you won't have to wait long for it either. Players can jump into Ellie and Abby's emotional journey on PlayStation 5 console on January 19th, 2024. Whether you've already played and even platinumed The Last of Us Part 2 on PlayStation 4 console, or have recently jumped into The Last of Us Part 1 on PS5 and want to continue the story of Part 2, Remastered will offer plenty of reasons for new and returning players to revisit a story that means so much to our studio. The engrossing campaign returns alongside technological improvements, new modes, and new behind-the-scenes features that will deepen your understanding of Part 2's creation. But before we break down what's in store, take a look at the announcement trailer, which I might throw. I'll try and find that actually and throw it up behind me while I'm talking. The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered is designed to let you dig deeper into both its development and mechanics. Chief among these is a brand new mode called No Return, a roguelike survival mode designed to let players prove their mettle in randomized encounters and experience The Last of Us Part 2's combat in a fresh experience. The mode includes a host of playable characters to choose from, some playable for the first time in the Last of Us franchise, which you may have spotted in our trailer, who each come with their own traits to suit different playstyles. Players will chart their own course on each run, choosing between various stealth and combat encounters that will pit you against a range of enemies with unique twists that can add new unexpected factors to any given encounter. Each run will offer a new chance to decide what rewards you get after each encounter, how you spec your character, and more. Unlock more character skins and more as you progress to use the mode, customize your own runs, and compete on a global leaderboard as part of a daily run too. We're excited to share more about No Return as we get closer to launch. For those who have already played The Last of Us Part 2, we know the included sections featuring a playable guitar were a favourite for many. And your burgeoning rock stars impressed us with your performances, so we've introduced a new guitar free play mode, which will let you strum the strings across a host of unlockable instruments, use audio FX pedals to modulate your performance, and play as different characters in several in-game locations to customize the mood and feel of your set. And for both new and returning players interested in learning more, we've designed Part 2 Remastered to offer a comprehensive dive behind the scenes of how our studio brought this game to life. A new set of lost levels in Part 2 Remastered allow players a unique chance to check out some playable sequences previously cut from the game. That's quite cool. These aren't fully finished levels, but rather early development slices that not only let you see some new glimpses of Part 2's world, but also include embedded developer commentary to give them richer context. Explore these spaces and hear directly from the team about the intention of aspects of each level. This is a unique inclusion for our studio, and we're excited to allow players a glimpse into creative process. We've also included newly recorded director's commentary across campaign cutscenes from director Neil Druckmann, narrative lead Hallie Gross, and actors Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson and Laura Bailey. They assemble to offer insight into the story and its characters that means so much to both our team and our fans, and we're delighted to give fans even more understanding of our team's approach to the story. The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered will feature enhanced graphics, including native 4K output in fidelity mode, 1440p upscaled to in performance mode. 1440p upscale to 4K in performance mode, an unlocked frame rate option for TVs that support VRR, increased texture resolution, increased level of detail distances, improved shadow quality animation, sampling rate, and more. It all brings the world of Part 2's story to life in richer and smoother detail, from the snow-wet mountains of Jackson, Wyoming, to the rainy cityscapes of Seattle, Washington, and should make a first visit or a return trip to the complex journeys of Ellie and Abby all the more engrossing. Part 2 Remastered takes advantage of the PS5's power and features in more ways as well, including improving loading times. Part 2 Remastered also incorporates DualSense wireless controller haptic feedback and adaptive triggers integration to better immerse you in every moment of combat and exploration. Blimey, I didn't expect this to be quite as long as it is, people. I feel like I'm in English class again and I'm having to read things. Prove that I can. We've ensured Part 2's award-winning suite of accessibility options returns for the PS5 experience, alongside new additions like the inclusion of descriptive audio and speech to vibrations, which uses DualSense controller to indicate characters' speech and cadence. The unlockable speedrun mode included in The Last of Us Part 1 will also be coming to Part 2 Remastered, allowing players to post their best times following The Last of Us Part 1. The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered includes the ability to unlock bonus skins for Ellie, Abby, and their weapons that were excited for players to see, and take some incredible photo mode shots with. Get a first look in our announcement trailer. And speaking of photo mode, we've made some additions that players of The Last of Us Part 1 may be familiar with, including dynamic lighting, frame forward, and gaze direction, as well as new frame and logo options. We're so excited to natively bring The Last of Us Part 2 to the PlayStation 5 as the definitive way to experience the sequel and everything it has to offer, while also offering fans new and returning deeper levels of appreciation for the work that went into it. Pre-orders will be available at the beginning of December, both for the standard edition as well as The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered WLF edition, which will be exclusively available direct from PlayStation in select markets. It includes a steelbook display case for enamel pins, a Washington Liberation Front patch, and a total of 47 Society and Champions trading cards, including 8 holographic cards. These were a favourite of Part 2 players to collect in-game, and we're so happy we could bring these to life. So that was available United States, United Kingdom, Germany, France, Benelux? What the hell is Benelux or Benelux? Italy, Spain, Portugal, and Austria. There's a country I've never heard of, people. What's that about? And good news for existing owners of The Last of Us Part 2 on PlayStation 4. You will be able to upgrade to a digital version of The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered for $10, so I reckon it'll probably be £10 here. You'll also be able to import your saves from the original game Part 2 Remastered. It's not bad, is it? For 10 quid. We're excited to share more with you on The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered as we get closer to its release date. PlayStation 5, January 19th. Pre-orders go live December 5th. So there you are, people. That's pretty much it. It was a hell of a long article, people. I was expecting a couple of paragraphs, not all of that. Anyway, I thought you guys would want to hear it all. So there you are, people. Super. Anyone that knows me knows my opinions of, just take these off for a sec, knows my opinions of The Last of Us Part 2 and it was a great game, but I didn't like what they did with the characters. So, specifically Ellie. I didn't like what they turned Ellie into. I just didn't feel that was the person that Ellie was. So I never accepted that, and that's what disappointed me with it. It was a really depressing story to play through. Even though The Last of Us Part 1 is a depressing world, it wasn't depressing to play. Do you know what I mean? But I've only ever played The Last of Us Part 2 once all the way through. And yet, when I got The Last of Us Part 1, I played it. I must have played it 5 times back to, well, at least 3 times back to back. And I've played it a 4th and a 5th, I think, since then. And then obviously the Remastered came out, and then I played it again. And then we got the remake, which I then got, and I played that again. And I love it. I just love that game. But I can't bring myself to play the misery of of the second one more than once. But I did start it, and I got quite heavily into it for a second run when the 60 FPS mode came out. And this wasn't that long ago, and I was quite into it, but then something came out. I can't remember what it was, but something came out, and I jumped over to that to start playing it. Must have got I think it might have been when I got God of War from my son Aaron Brew. I think it's when I got that, and then I jumped over to God of War, and I kind of got stuck into that, and I never went back to it. So for 10 quid, and I'm pretty sure, I'll tell you why I started playing it again, because I saw it on the Black. It was either, I think it might have been Black Friday or last year or something. It was a big sale anyway, and I picked it up for like The Last of Us Part 2 for PS4. This is, I must have picked it up for like £7 or £8 or something. It was so cheap. So the upgrade to PS5 is probably more expensive than I bought it for, but it was to get the digital edition because I've got it on disc. But I thought it's just handy having it on digital, so I bought it on digital. Just be aware that the $10 or £10 upgrade to the new version that's coming out in January, if you've got it on disc, you still need the disc in order to upgrade it. Otherwise, you need to buy a digital version of the game. So I suspect they're going to be cheeky feckers and push the price of the game through the roof because that's coming out. If you've been clever enough to buy it digitally before now, you'll have picked it up for like £7 or £8. It might be worth, but it's Black Friday right now. It might be worth, if you've got any inkling of playing it again, and you've got rid of your physical copy or something, it might be worth just picking it up digitally for, if it is still that sort of price. But it was like £7 or £8 for that. But The Last of Us Part 1 was still like really highly cost, and that just says everything to me about the caliber of the two stories. Everybody loves that first game, and it was such a polarizing experience, that second one. The thing is, there's some superb sections in the second one where Abby actually gets the best infected areas. She gets some superb action scenes, action sequences, gameplay wise, that you get to run through with her. But to get to those sections, you have to play the god-awful story. And it's just like, or the depressing story. And I just couldn't bring myself to do it up until that attempt I had this year at some point that I'm forgetting. But yeah, anyway, this may be what instigates a second playthrough for me without any shadow of a doubt, because it is a gorgeous, gorgeous game with some wonderful action scenes in it and great, great levels to play. It's just bringing yourself to play it through the whole story. I don't know though, someone can probably tell me if they introduce chapter selection, because it's possible if you can do chapter selection and skip the cutscenes, then maybe you could just play the actual levels. Maybe that's something we can do now, I don't know. But anyway, it is what it is, people. It was one of those things. I still said that game was probably still a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 game, and I'm pretty sure I did that and said that in the past. But for me, it just kind of was like, that Ellie's character would just never have become that, in my opinion, and that's what kind of broke it for me. It wasn't to do with what happens to Joel, wasn't to do with the introduction of Abby, although I did have a massive reaction to having to play as Abby when I first played it on my first playthrough. I actually put the controller down and walked off in a strop for a while because I thought, I don't want to play as this person. Like, why would you make me play as this person? But I came back to it a number of hours or the day after later, accepted what it was and got stuck in, and it was some superb levels of gameplay. And of course, Laura Bailey was awesome playing the part. I love Laura Bailey, she's fantastic. But anyway, it was what it was. And I feel like after the experience of playing it again this year, then I may well get stuck into it when that upgrade comes out for the PS5 version. And it is, I think, after the travesty that was expecting us to pay 70 fucking quid for a remake of the first one, which I thought, still to this day, think was outrageous. And I only paid it because it was one of my favourite games ever. I still think that was outrageous, asking people to pay that. I think you should have been 50. I think £50 would have been fair. I understand it's not a remaster, and I understand that they built it from the ground up, but for something that had already had all the art design done, all the music done, I mean, literally like huge amounts of work already done when you're doing a remake like that, there's a huge amount of cost that isn't involved in making that remake. So 70 quid was a big ask to be asking people to pay that out again. I was one of the Muppets that paid it though, so you can blame me for these things happening, I suppose. But I wouldn't do that in normal. So there's a very few games on this planet I would do that for, and that was one of them. Dead Space is probably the other. But there you are, people. So yeah, where are we, people? How long have we been recording for? We're on about an hour, I think. We're on about 55 minutes. The dog's going again. The dog's kicking off, people. My dulcet tones are no longer keeping it at bay. Oh, Flagger's up to you again. Oh, good. Thirsty, people. That was a lot of talking for a best part of an hour since my last sip. Going quiet for a second. Every time I go quiet, the dog stops barking. I'm curious to see if the mic picks it up. Anyway, I'm pretty sure while I'm talking, it's not going to bother you. But if there's sort of points where I stop talking, you might just hear the dog coming through. But I'm hoping with this sensitivity, the way that it is, you won't. But you'd be surprised the things that mics pick up. I mean, this backside of the mic doesn't pick up sound. And the dog, I think, is over on the kitchen side, which is behind us there, or in front of me. But so I'm hoping that it's not going to pick it up, but you never know with these sort of things, people. If this works, then we're on a winner. It's just down to me being able to focus with the bloody dog barking. Now, to be fair to the little fella, he's been really quiet for a lot of this, and he's piped down again now. But he's just, you know, they are what they are. He's a little tiny little 3-month-old thing that's just lonely and wants to be with people. Probably wants a walk and all that sort of stuff. Anywho, shall we talk about any more? I think we're being at the time that we're at, people. Let's have a little look, because anything beyond now, I think, is from historic stuff. Oh no, it's not. Well, hang on a minute. No, maybe not. Maybe not. There were things that I picked up on the last vlog that we did on, because I did a Monday night vlog that I posted up on Tuesday because of my unboxings. Yeah, so we did, because we did the nominees for the. I mentioned what the nominees were for the Game Awards, which I'm pretty sure. Well, I never did talk about Alan Wake. I never got a chance to discuss Alan Wake 2's sort of acceptance when it came out and its reviews. I think I did mention it in the previous vlog, but we'll talk about it again, because I've just started playing Alan Wake, because when I finally was able to play again, I picked up the Jedi Survivor, which I was playing before my accident, and that was the game that I really wanted to get back to, because I was loving it, absolutely adoring it. But when I picked up and played, I mean, it was hard work on this hand, though. I mean, my God, because it's like Jedi fighting and all sorts of stuff. And there was a couple of boss fights where my hand was struggling so bad. But I was looking at it as physiotherapy, because they're telling me that I need to move my hand and my fingers as much as possible, and that's how I'm going to get the thing working properly again. So I was kind of treating it like that. So I managed to get through the Jedi Survivor. Absolutely loved it. It's just a terrible shame that it's, even now, it's a lot better than it was at launch, but even now, still really struggles with its frame rates on both. But the 60 FPS was just... even now that they've turned the ray tracing off, it's still a technical disaster in places, screen tearing everywhere and stuff. But a gorgeous game, and outside of those tears and everything, and a really good story. Absolutely thoroughly loved it. I mean, I would, if it wasn't for its technical problems, I would easily give it a 9 out of 10. But I think because of its technical problems, I'll probably give it an 8 out of 10. And the only reason I was going to say 10 out of 10 and 9 out of 10, but there were little things that I kind of thought, did I need this area to be this open? It was little bits like that. And every time I thought, did I need it this open, I would discover something new, and then it was interesting and all that sort of stuff. So I wasn't quite sure. I mean, there was a part of me that wanted to give it a 10 out of 10, but because of the technicals, it was a 9 out of 10. So I'm kind of hovering between those bits. But anyway, when I finished that, I think the reason I started playing it again when I had my injury, because I downloaded Alan Wake 2 and I thought, while I'm waiting for Alan Wake 2 downloading, I'll just play a bit of Jedi Survivor. And I got so hooked into it again that I ended up finishing it. But I've still got Alan Wake 2 sat there now. But I played the opener for Alan Wake 2, which was about an hour and a half, maybe, something like that. Might have been 2 hours. And I was fascinated by the fact that I was totally engrossed in the game, but I'd only actually fought one monster guy. You know what I mean? I only shot one thing. Like, the whole opener was all about detective stuff and putting puzzles together for your timeline of what's been happening. So you pick up clues basically from the murders and stuff that have been happening, and you put them up in your mind palace place to sort of piece it all together. And it was all that sort of stuff I was sort of engrossed with and doing. So I got to the point where it was, I think, starting to sort of lead into the sort of survival-y horror. We're wandering into cabins and we're going to get jumped out at it soon. So that's where I was with it, but I haven't played for a few days. But it was, I mean, it stunning to look at. The 60 FPS was as smooth as I've ever seen 60 FPS. And even I moved it into the quality mode just to see what the 30 FPS was like. And the 30 FPS was also gorgeous. It's the first game I've seen saying it was a 30 FPS at 4K that was super, super smooth. It looked proper smooth at 30 as well. I did jump back to the 60 because I just that used to 60 now. I love it. But I was half tempted to play it for a while in 30 because it looked gorgeous. I mean, and it's panned beautifully as well. It just looks great. I mean, bloody Respawn could do with a bit of work experience at flipping Remedy, you know what I mean? Find out how they did that, because it is stunning. And the story immediately grabs you. The characters are great. When I realised that Sam Lake, who's the maker of the game, was in it as a character, I was like, oh man, I hate it when people do stuff like this, you know what I mean? Because it takes you, it kind of, I don't know, there's something about it that's kind of like, I kind of know him now, and I don't want to see his face in the game. But I've got to say this, that his character in it is brilliant, and he acts it superb. So I've actually really sort of changed my mind on it now. He's sort of proved me entirely wrong for trying to pigeonhole him into a place that he shouldn't have been pigeonholed into. So my total tip of the hat to him, because his performance is superb in the opener. I mean, he's not even... he's talking in an American accent and everything. He's not even... Because he's got his Nordic, isn't he? He's got a Nordic accent. But yeah, I was super surprised at that. Really, 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 really found it... Still finding his character dead funny and really, really cool. But thoroughly enjoying it. And it's got... I mean, last time I looked at Metacritic, it had an 88 out of 100, which is a superb score from Metacritic point of view. So it was really, really well received from both the official reviewers and people like you and me. And I'm really delighted for it, because anyone who follows the channel knows I was a massive fan of the original Alan Wake. I personally don't think I wanted another Alan Wake that was the same gameplay as the original Alan Wake, and I think this was a perfect way to bring Alan Wake back. And the very fact that I'm not even playing as Alan Wake in this opener, and I'm playing as an FBI agent, when I saw the gameplay footage before the game came out, I was kind of like, I wonder how that's going to feel. But you do play as Alan Wake later on, by the way. But I think it's kind of split into two story parts. You've got Alan Wake's bit going on, and you've got the FBI agent trying to find out what's happening. And I've loved playing as this FBI character. She's superb. Really, really cool. Really, really great to move around. I'm just fascinated by how the story's going to play out. So they've done a wonderful job with it. Superb. And I can't wait to get back to it, apart from it was really freaking me out from a horror perspective. My son's coming down to visit me soon, and I thought maybe I'll wait for him to come down and then I can... I wasn't feeling particularly manly after playing 2 hours of it. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, something's going to jump out in a minute. It has got... I mean, I'm kind of okay with horror games, but I tend to have to play them in sort of 2 hour bursts a lot of the time. Dead Space and Callisto were okay, but I've managed to do them fairly heavily. I think it's the kind of horror that's happening. And with Alan Wake, it's that kind of dark shit going on, people. I don't know, it's kind of witchy, dark stuff is stuff that kind of spooks me more than grime and aliens and, you know, that sort of thing. So I think that's probably what's getting me with the Alan Wake one. It's a bit intense like that, and we're in a forest and stuff. It's a bit fucking Blair Witch, you know what I mean? It's like, what the fuck's going to jump out of me here? So I'm really like tense with it, and maybe I need to play it without my headphones on, because I had my fucking Astros on, and it was like, everything was like, what the So I don't know. May have changed my strategy as to how to play it, but it is superb. Well, there you are. I think we are not going to go into these older articles in this particular one, people, because we have chatted quite heavily there already for best part of an hour. I don't want to go on at you too much, people. I don't want you getting bored of me now. Now I've got 7,000 subscribers. Yeah, there's loads of little things I've taken. I mean, there was even a bit of this. There was a state of play a while back that I took loads of notes about. Wasn't really much going on in it though. I think the biggest thing to come out of it was Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is February 29th. So there's another one coming out in springtime, people. I think technically February's still winter, but yeah, you've got Final Fantasy VII Rebirth coming in February 29th. It's coming on 2 discs as well, people. They are actually giving us a physical copy on 2 discs. Fucking, what is the problem with these other people not doing that? It's like, oh, no, it's too big for a disc. We're going to have to just do a digital copy. I mean, they did it with Alan Wake. You can't buy Alan Wake on a disc. Couldn't be bothered. So, I mean, as time goes on, I'm actually becoming a bit of a fan of digital. And I think I've said this on the channel before, I am getting, why do I feel like I'm sinking, people? Come out of it. I am, as time goes on, I am sort of, if I see something cheap enough digitally that I've already got on disc, I'll buy it. Just so I've got the digital one, I'd have to worry about the disc in the future. I'll just, have that. But there is still this thing, though, that even with my 50 meg download speed, it still takes a huge amount of time to download. It takes about 2.5 to 3 hours to download a big game so that I've got it. I realise you can part install it, but I don't like playing games part installed. So I tend to just wait the 3.5 hours. You can do it in advance, but if you on a whim want to play a game, the problem is that if I put a disc in, it takes it maybe 20 minutes to install. If I put, depending on the game, it can be faster than that. But if I do have a digital copy and want to play the digital copy that I haven't got installed anywhere, then it's going to take 3.5 hours. So you lose that sort of immediate ability to play a game. That said, nearly every game that you'll own has probably got a bloody massive update file for it, but it would still be quicker than downloading the whole game again. So there is still advantages to the disc versions for me. And that's always been my thing about discs. I like having the collection anyway, but it's also the fact that I know I don't have to keep it installed. Like I know it'll take 20 minutes when I throw the disc in to install the game, unless there's a big update for it. But even then, it won't take as long as the full game to download. But I am more and more now. I've got an external hard drive on the PS5. I've got an external hard drive on the Xbox Series X. I realise that I can't play a lot of the stuff that is new from them, but I can. It's still quicker to move those games to that. If I ever want to play them in the future, I just drag them back across to the internal storage, and that takes a fraction of the time it does to download them again. So that's my philosophy behind it, because I'm not paying 250 quid for a memory card. So I bought the external drives for about £40, and they're a terabyte a piece. I think, they're both a terabyte. And I got loads of stuff on them that's all digital. And that's the philosophy I've got with it now. I think I am reaching a point where I probably want 2 terabyte ones rather than a terabyte ones, but even then it's still only 40 quid a piece rather than 200 odd pound for a fucking memory card, which is just insanity. So, I mean, not from a performance point of view, it's wonderful having that great memory and everything, but there's got to be a cheaper way of fucking doing it. Jesus Christ. I mean, that's nearly a whole console, isn't it? If you're paying 250 quid for a memory card, for Christ's sake. At least with the PlayStation, you can buy compatible ones. With the Xbox, you're stuck with their what's the word I'm looking for? The one that's theirs, basically, proprietary. You're stuck with their proprietary one. So anyway, hopefully in the future we'll have better options, or the prices will just tumble anyway. But I doubt they'll come down to any reasonable amount while these are still valid consoles, I don't think. Or maybe second hand, if you can buy them second hand somewhere. But anyway, well, there you are, people. Shall I take these off? I think that's going to do us. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed that once again, people. That's 2 vlogs in the space of a week, and at least this one was all about gaming. I mean, I realise the last one probably wasn't my most watched, simply because it was more of an unboxing set of things and me chatting about the channel than it was about anything too gamey. But there was some good topics to chat about today, people, between The Last of Us Part 2 and Dragon's Dogma 2, which I can't wait for, people. That's going to be superb, I think. It'll be interesting to see if we change location in the world or how they're going to do that. Very deserty, if I remember rightly. Yeah, the beach bit, I'm sure there was a foresty bit, but it was all quite sparse, as I remember, in that world. There was a bit with some trees and stuff at the shoreline and what have you, but in general terms, it was quite a sparse environment, if I remember rightly. So it'll be interesting to see if we change locations and stuff. It is a 4 times bigger map, they said, and stuff. And also, I don't think it was completely open world. I think the way it worked, you did teleport to certain places. It was kind of open world, but I think you reached barriers and you had to teleport to certain places. So it'd be interesting to see how they do that sort of stuff now they've got the extra power of the new consoles and everything, because we're 2 generations on now. So it may well end up being more of an open world experience than it was before. But super excited for it. Well, there you are. I'm going to say it once again, people, before we go. Flagons up to you all, and a massive, massive thank you once again for the 7,000 subscribers, people. I can't believe it. Absolutely amazing. Well, there you are. Let me know in the comments below about any of the topics that I've been talking about in this vlog of mine today, people. I think we're going to stick with this format, with the microphone nice and close to me, for the foreseeable future until we get this little fella settled in next door and hopefully he'll quieten down a bit. He has, I think, pretty much for 50% of this video been quite quiet, and he keeps piping up from time to time, so I feel like he is getting a little bit better. But there you are. It has been an honour and a privilege serving for you once again in this vlog of mine, and I shall catch you all in the next one, folks. Take it easy. Bye.